Welcome back students. So today we are going to study social science subject. So in social science we are going to study about history of class 8th standard. The lesson that is weavers, iron smelters and factory owners. Okay, in the previous video we learnt about the textile industries. So what was the situation of textile industries in India after the arrival of the Britishers? Okay, and how the sale has been taken place in European market as well as in the American markets. So these many points we have covered in the previous video. So today we are going to talk about our Indian textiles. Well children, the first cotton mill in India was set up as a spinning mill in Bombay in the year 1854. So like this, the cotton textile mill has been established in India and its development also taken place in India. Through this, many people got the job and the Indian textile now has been got in a industrial shape. Okay, along with this children, here you can see that from the early 19th century, Bombay had grown as an important port for the export of raw cotton from India to England and China. So along with the establishment of cotton mill, here children you can see that here export has been taken place. Raw cotton is going to be exported to England and China through India. By 1900, over 84 mills started working in Bombay. So after this, the first mill in Ahmedabad was started in 1861. Like this, the growth of cotton mills led to a demand for labor. So children, in our India, one speciality is there, easily the labor is going to be available. Anyone can replace the labor. So because of this reason here, there was a great demand for the labor, those who are going to grow the cotton. Okay, thousands of poor peasants, artisans and agricultural laborers moved to the cities to work in the mills. So peasants, farmers, artisans and agricultural laborers, they started to moving in the cotton textile mills for the job purposes. The textile factory industries in India faced many problems. It found it difficult to compete with the England industries. Okay, so like this the development has been taken place. Most workers in the spinning departments were women, while workers in the weaving departments were mostly men. This was the situation in the 19th century. Okay, so next here you can see that children, agricultural workers, they moved from one place to another place in the search of job. The textile factory industry in India faced many problems. It found it difficult to compete with the cheap textile imported from Britain. As you know that Britain was the workshop of the England. From this area, the raw materials whatever has been provided to India, which was really very cheap, and there was a difficulty for the Indians to prepare a good textile. The colonial government in India usually refused to protect the local industries because they only strive to give development for the Britain industries only children. The first major sprint in the development of cotton factory production in India therefore was during the First World War. Okay, when textile imports from Britain declined and Indian factories were called upon to produce clothes for military supplies. When the First World War has been taken place, military expenditure was really very more, and here you can see that children, each and every time England, it has been involved itself for the war purpose only, it is children. So at that time India has supported by producing the textile for the military supplies. Okay, next we will move to the sword of Tipu Sultan and Woods steel. Well children, we begin the story of Indian steel and iron by recounting the famous story of Tipu Sultan, who ruled Mysore in the year 1799, had a sword made up of a special type of high carbon steel called woods, which was produced all over South India. Okay children, but here you can see that Tipu's legendary sword are now a part of valuable collection in museums in England. But do you know why the sword was very so special? Because children, wood's steel when made into swords produced a very sharp edge with the flowing water pattern. When once the sword has been prepared with the wood's steel, so its edge will be very sharp and it will be shaped like a flowing water. Okay, because of this reason it was really very famous. Wood's steel was produced in many hundreds of smelting furnaces in Mysore. So wood's steel was producing in many factories in Mysore. Indian wood's steel fascinated European scientists also. Well, scientists like Michael Faraday, the legendary scientist and discoverer of electricity and electromagnetism, spent 4 years studying the properties of Indian woods from 1818 to 22. So, like this, the wood's steel making process, which was so widely known in South India, was completely lost by the mid-19th century. So, the swords and armor making industries died with the conquest of India by the British, and imports of iron and steel from England displaced the iron and steel produced by the craftspeople in India. Like this, the decline has been taken place, children. Okay, next we will read the point, that is abundant furnaces in villages. Okay. So after this year you can see that, children, iron and steel factories came up in India. So first let's we have an eye on the abundant furnaces in villages. Production of wood's steel required a highly specialized technique of refining iron. But children, here iron smelting in India was extremely common till the end of the 19th century. So places like Bihar and central India in particularly, every district had smelters. Every district had iron smelters that used local deposits, that used the local materials of ore to produce iron, which was widely used for the manufacture of implements and tools of daily use. Okay, well, the furnaces were most often built of clay. The furnaces were most often built with the clay and sun-dried bricks. The smelting was done by men, while women worked the bellows, pumping air that kept the charcoal burning. Like this, furnaces and wood steels were developed. Okay, children. So next we will talk about the iron and steel factories. So when the terms come for the iron and steel factories, it started developing from 1904. Charles Weld and Dorabji Tata explored the hill pointed out by the Agaria's people and found one of the finest iron ores in India. So children, please don't forget these important names. Charles Weld and Dorabji Tata. They explored a hill. So in that hill the people was there. The community was there. Its name is Agaria's people. They helped them to find the finest iron ores in the world. Well, this is near the Rajahara Hills, had one of the finest ores in the world. A few years later, a large area of forest was cleared on the banks of the river Suvarnarekha to set up the factory and industrial township. Jamshedpur has been established. Then later on, the Tata Iron and Steel Company that came up began producing steel in 1912. So like this, the iron and steel factories came up in India. Along with these children, in 1914, 1914, when the First World War broke up out, imports of British steel into India declined dramatically. Okay, and children, here you can see that India declined dramatically, and the Indian Railways turned to TISCO for supply of rails. As the war dragged on for several years, TISCO had to produce shells and carriages wheels for the war. By 1919, the colonial government was buying 90% of the steel manufactured by the TISCO company only. Okay, like this the iron and steel industries has been developed. Over time, TISCO became the biggest steel industry within the British Empire. In the case of iron and steel, as in the case of cotton textile, industrial expansion occurred only when British imports into India declined and the market for the Indian industrial goods increased. So this happened during the First World War, because at that time, children, you can see that the Britishers, they were engaged in the war and military expenditure was really very more. So when the Indian factories, they called to for the production purposes, here Indian factories that came into demand. Okay, children, as the nationalist movement developed, the industrial class became stronger, the demand for government protection became louder, struggling to retain its control over India. The British government had to concede many of these demands in the last decades of the colonial rule. Okay, so like this the industrial development has been taken place, children. Along with this, early years of industrialization in Japan. So when we will talk about the Japan, the history of industrialization of Japan, it started late from the 19th century. So it also contrasts to that of India. The colonial state in India keen to expand the market for British goods. Indians were asked to expand the market for British goods, was unwilling to support Indian industries. In Japan, the state encouraged the growth of industries. Okay, like this the industrial development has been taken place in India. Colonial domination created barriers to industrialization. In Japan, the fear of foreign conquest spurred industrialization, but this also means that the Japanese industrial development from the beginning was linked to the military needs only, because at that time, children, the whole world was divided into the blocks and each and every person, he was engaged in the war only. So at that time, children, the Britishers were ruling in our country. Indian must and should has to support them. Indian army also has given its support, or it's extended its supports towards the British for the expansion of their territories in the world. Okay, children, here you can see that when the World War has been taken place, at that time in British industries, they has to see the decline and military expenditure was really very much more. Okay, to meet all these military expenditures here, children, the Indian industries were called up to make certain materials for the military. Okay, so this was all about the Indian textile and iron and steel factories. Okay, so one point I would like to tell you here: expansion at the end of the war. To meet the demands of the war, TISCO had to expand its capacity and extend the size of its factory. The program of expansion continued after the war. Here you see new powerhouses and boiler houses being built in Jamshedpur in 1919 to meet the expenditure of the military wages. Okay, like this, children, the situation was there. The First World War has been taken. I hope the revision section of this lesson has been understood and all points are cleared. So if you have any doubts, if you have any query regarding this, you can call me, you can contact me anytime. So if any points are not cleared, you can call me, okay, or you can message me on my WhatsApp number. And children, once again I am going to repeat all these points in short, that here iron and steel factories came up in India in 1904, and here you can see that these industries came up in India with the help of Charles Weld and Dorabji Tata. So they went up to the Rajahara Hills, and here with the help of agrarias they find out most finest iron ore in India. Okay, like this factories has been established near the Subarnarekha river. Okay children, I hope the concept is clear. So if you have any doubts, you can call me. Thank you for watching this video children.